Bill Feingold Show on 94.3 KNEWS.
8:39, Bulldog and Kevin. And we welcome to the show one of our favorite people. Kevin is sitting up, and he is smiling already. It's unbelievable.
I'm excited.
He's excited just to hear this man speak. Before there was Caitlin, before Bruce Jenner became Caitlin, there was a great actor that we didn't know much about, and his name was Peter O'Toole. Welcome to the show, publisher and co-author of a new book, Peter O'Toole, Hellraiser, Sexual Outlaw, Irish Rebel, Danforth Prince.
Bill, how nice. Hello, how are you? Hi, Kevin. Nice to be here.
Good morning.
Yeah, it's fabulous to talk to you again. And let me tell people, we have an advance copy. Blood Moon Productions sends me the advance copy, but in 2 weeks, dollars to donuts, this book is on the front page of the Globe, and then it goes to the Inquirer. Am I right?
Yes, we've gotten already quite a bit of press from the Daily Mail and from the New York Daily News. So, yes, he's a timely topic. We're very lucky that they find it as interesting as we do.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a big book, as usual, and it's really fascinating. And Peter O'Toole was nominated 8 times for an Academy Award and never won. He finally got a Lifetime Achievement Award.
Yeah, he said that he was always a bridesmaid and never a bride, and he said that if it wasn't Cliff Robertson for some movie he made called Charlie, he would have indeed won for Beckett at least.
Right.
He said Cliff Robertson played a charming, a mental retard, please forgive the words, and he played an English king, and Peter O'Toole went on to say that he doesn't get any respect for royalty these days, he said.
Well, Peter, why'd you pick Peter O'Toole? Because everybody knew Peter O'Toole was a hard-living, hard-drinking, fun guy, but I never knew much about him. I didn't know about him as a young boy, sort of being picked up by a prostitute.
Well, that was we run a book production company called Blood Moon Productions, and before we begin a new project, we look at the previous coverage of icons along the cinematic landscape that we believe were undercovered. And Peter O'Toole is very famous. Everybody has a favorite movie of Peter O'Toole, everybody over 35 at least. And there's absolutely nothing published on him since 1980. Even Peter himself published some memoirs and autobiographies, right, which were written in such an opaque, strange kind of idiosyncratic language that nobody really ever understood them. The reviewers said, fascinating book, but what the hell is he talking about?
Right.
So even in his own memoirs, Peter O'Toole used a combination of Elizabethan English and Cockney slang put together in his own eccentric way that really wasn't very clear. So, of course, we've read his memoirs, and they are rather baffling until you factor in the many interviews that were conducted on anyone who ever knew Peter O'Toole that we could find, and until we edited into it, like a tapestry, all the other zillions of commentaries in short form that have been published about Peter O'Toole since the beginning of his spectacular career.
Right, and it seems all through his career and all through his life, he was drunk.
Well, he really did battle the bottle. Yes, yeah. He said that I am a proud Irishman, and that explains my gift of gab, my love of women, my love of the bottle, and my sense of rebelliousness, and my hatred of authority figures.
And you have some fabulous quotes, as usual, from fabulous people. Can I just read one, because the audience is going to... This is from Elizabeth Taylor. This is from the late, great Elizabeth Taylor.
Love it.
Quote, Peter was the only man I preferred in bed to Dick. Richard Burton. Yeah. That's what Elizabeth Taylor said.
I think the way that I've always interpreted that was that indeed in the film Beckett there was a lot of male bonding between Peter O'Toole playing Henry II and Richard Burton playing his helper, who became the Archbishop of Canterbury, at first cooperative and then rebellious. And I think that the character established in that role was that Beckett and Henry II would have wonderful, deep dialogues with another over a wench in a bed, and almost as an actor's technique, they transferred that dynamic onto the very cooperative and very charming Elizabeth Taylor, perhaps as an extension of their actor's technique, if that makes sense. Yes. And they later did a lot of scenes together in an intimate way for the ode to Dylan Thomas and the celebration of Wales called Under Milkwood. So that was a very deep and affectionate friendship between Richard Burton, Elizabeth Taylor, and Peter O'Toole that really lasted until the death of both of the men, and Elizabeth was the last Peter was the last to die.
And, of course, Peter O'Toole, it was Lawrence of Arabia. He sort of came from nowhere. And all of a sudden, Peter O'Toole was the great star, and that started his whole career.
Well, the book explains really the background behind that movie, right. Lawrence of Arabia, in 2 separate chapters. And the way Peter was selected was that he did have a small but not very, very widespread following for movies he had done, including Robbing the Bank of England. Right. And David Lean and Sam Spiegel, the director and producer of that great epic movie, really needed a good-looking newcomer to personify a very odd hero called T.E. Lawrence, who right. was indeed a very controversial figure in British politics. But the story of the making of Lawrence of Arabia is not known by a lot of people, and we've laid it out in 2 very distinctive chapters, long chapters, with photos. I
didn't realize, and you could hit me in the head if you were sitting next to me, that Peter O'Toole had the bluest eyes I've ever seen. They're gorgeous.
Well, it served him well for the variety of roles
right.
he played. He was cast once as a Nazi officer. That served him well in that casting.
Yes.
And for all the English royalty and kings that he played, he did those better than virtually anyone else. The book also talks about his complicated relationships with the great homos of the English stage, who included John Gielgud, Lawrence of Arabia, and Laurence Olivier.
Laurence Olivier, yeah. Yeah.
So there are politics in this book about O'Toole as a worker on the English stage, which is a whole political orbit separate from Hollywood, and many chapters on Peter O'Toole and how he reacted with or reacted against the Hollywood machine, which is indeed a separate series of chapters. No other actor, we maintain, has made the transition from the Shakespearean stages of London to the sound stages of Hollywood as effectively as Peter did.
Yes.
It's even been said that his speech patterns and his diction reflected the arrogance of British imperialism better than that of any other actor.
Yeah.
When he began intoning his diphthongs, it sounded like an English king himself.
We're talking with Danforth Prince. Let me tell people, the publisher and co-author of a new book. When is it coming out? It's called Peter O'Toole, Hellraiser, Sexual Outlaw, Irish Rebel. There's one thing missing in the book. There's one thing missing in this book.
Right.
When I read for the part of Lawrence of Arabia, when I read for that part, they said, if you could lose the Brooklyn accent, fine, we could make you a star. I'm walking out of the sound stage where we did, my little shtick. In walked a young actor that nobody in this country knew, and he said, "How do you do? I'm Peter O'Toole," and the rest is history.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Then you were screened from that on.
You see, you didn't know to call me. Now, when is this book coming out, Danforth?
Amazon begins shipping it on the 15th of June. Barnes & Noble is doing a front-of-store promotion on it beginning around June 22nd, 23rd. So it's late June that it comes out, but it's available in Palm Springs right now through that store that we work with called Greetings out on North Palm Canyon
it's in Greetings now. So people in Palm Springs is your good luck charm.
Well, I so admire and respect the consumers of Palm Springs as people who are really hip to the senior side of showbiz.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of old queens live here.
The senior side of showbiz.
Now, are you right? Is your next book about Bill and Hillary?
Yes, it is. We're doing a book called Bill and Hillary, and the subtitle is So This Is That Thing Called Love.
Right. And don't you have to be very careful, because you do write some very salacious things about people?
We do our best to stay out of trouble.
Okay.
We do our best.
Yeah.
But there's an awful... I think what makes Blood Moon distinctive is that we really are not afraid of a whole variety of subjects which other more squeamish publishers find scholastically, inappropriate or distasteful or blah, blah, blah. We really are at Blood Moon redefining, to the degree we can, the tenets and the premises of celebrity biography. The field of celebrity biography really did sink to sort of, pretty low standard when it was controlled so utterly by the studio systems, which really protected the actors and the spots, and the stuff that got out was the official party line.
Yeah, it was all fantasy.
Fantasy, silly stuff for years and years and years. But what we are trying to do at Blood Moon, and we are developing a style of biography writing that has never been seen before. Just a word about that. The Peter O'Toole book is written in an episodic style, not in a chronologically linear style.
Right.
What I mean is the old-fashioned sort of tedious way to write a biography was that you begin with birth, you spend some years with those boring adolescent years, and you don't get to meet Elizabeth Taylor until a third of the way through the book, and blah, blah.
Right. And we want to meet her a lot sooner.
As Hugh Jackman said on the stage, yes, he said that once, you want to meet Elizabeth Taylor right away. So we organized this book according to chapters associated with key episodes in Peter O'Toole's life. For example, Lawrence of Arabia was a chapter of itself. All the gossip associated with that movie is in one essay-style chapter. And same as The Ruling Class, a movie where he played a member of parliament with delusions of an incarnation as Jesus Christ.
Well, real quick, one last thing that I didn't know about. I knew a lot about Peter O'Toole, but I didn't know that he had had relations with Princess Margaret.
That is indeed, yes. There's a lot of evidence to support that. I want to praise the Daily Mail for the way that they covered this book in a long 11-page piece on the internet and in the paper in London. There's two ways that we feared that they might react. One is, how dare you make that statement about a member of our royal family, how dare you, cha-cha. Or they, in their words, and I hope I'm not misquoting them, quote,
she's a pig.
No, never something as disrespectful as that, but she was known for liaisons with actors A, B, C, and D, and why not Peter O'Toole too, they said. So I think that we're beginning at Blood Moon to gain some credibility in a nice sort of sociologically historical way, rather than just being a tabloid sleazeball.
Well, Danforth Prince, you know, we love you. Kevin has never been happier. He's wrote down about 5 or 6 words. He's not sure what they meant, and I'll explain them.
That's very true.
I'll explain them to him later. The name of the book is Peter O'Toole, Hellraiser, Sexual Outlaw, Irish Rebel. It's available in Palm Springs right now at Greetings, or in a couple of weeks it'll be Amazon, Barnes & Noble. It's written by Darwin Porter and, of course, by Danforth Prince, who's the publisher and co-author. And it's going to be a big now that you've done the show, you know it's going to be a huge success.
Hello.
Oh, the show is so important to me, and your show is wonderful, Bill. It's funny, it's charming, it's light. It's exactly what I'm lucky to be on it. Thank you.
It's a little fluffy quiche. That's what it is. Yeah. Why don't you do a book about Barbara Walters? That's what I'd like to read. The truth about Barbara Walters.
Long agenda. We'll do another book, and then we'll make another movie and another movie.
Okay. Yeah, we'll make another. Thanks, Danforth Prince. The name of the book, Peter O'Toole, Hellraiser, Sexual Outlaw, Irish Rebel. You're a pleasure, Danforth, and all the best to you.
Thank you very, very much.
Thanks.
God bless you.
Bye, Danforth.
Thanks. You're listening to the Bill Feingold Show.